You know that feeling, right? You're at some work event, maybe a networking thing, or even just starting a Teams call, and boom, awkward silence. And you're just scrambling, thinking, okay, what can I say that isn't just the weather? Happens to everyone, I think. So today, we're actually diving deep into that very thing, small talk. It often gets dismissed, doesn't it? Like it's trivial, just filler. But it's actually fundamental for building connections, for getting things done.
Yeah.
We've been digging into this really comprehensive guide on management English, and it has a fantastic section specifically on small talk. Our mission here is to, well, pull out the key insights, why it's so essential, how it acts like engine oil for work relationships, and how you can actually get better at it.
Yeah, and what's really interesting is how this guide reframes it. It's not just being polite. It presents small talk as a strategic tool, really important for managers, professionals, anyone looking to build that trust, that collaboration. We're going to sort of unpack the depth behind what, on the surface, looks like pretty simple chat.
Okay, so it's easy to just think, oh, it's just chit-chat, passing the time. Why should we actually bother? What's the real point the guide makes?
That's the key question, isn't it? Because the main mistake is thinking it's, unproductive. But the guide really pushes back on that. It says, first off, small talk shows you're willing to engage. It signals friendliness. It's a pretty low-risk way to start getting to know someone, find those shared interests, and crucially, it helps lower anxiety.
Ah, okay, like breaking the ice.
Exactly. Imagine walking into a meeting, maybe with new people. A simple, relaxed opening just makes everyone feel a bit more comfortable. It eases the tension.
And usually someone has to kind of take the lead on that.
Precisely. The guide points out that you're basically taking the risk of finding common ground. By initiating, you make it easier for the other person, and honestly, they're often glad you did. And in many work cultures, it's often the more senior person who's kind of expected to start that off. When you look at the bigger picture, the guide is explicit. This casual chat builds connections, reduces anxiety, especially when you combine it with really listening well.
Right, which brings us to that analogy they use, the engine oil one. I thought that was really good.
It's a brilliant way to put it, yeah. It says small talk functions similarly to engine oil in a machine. It facilitates more challenging conversations and enhances team efficiency. Think about it, without that oil, things grind, right?
Yeah.
Difficult conversations feel even harder. Trust doesn't build as easily.
And work just doesn't flow as smoothly.
Exactly. It reduces that friction in our interactions. It's not just manners, it's about efficiency too.
That really shifts the perspective. So for managers, how does this engine oil idea play out? What are the benefits for them specifically?
Well, this is where it becomes really strategic for managers. Those who use small talk well, consciously, they're just much more likely to build trust and real collaboration. It helps create psychological safety. You know, that feeling where your team feels safe to speak up, ask questions, maybe even admit they messed up without fear.
Which is huge.
Absolutely huge, especially when things are demanding or stressful. It's foundational for a strong team.
So it's not like a quick trick you can learn overnight. It
Yeah.
sounds more like a long-term thing.
Spot on. The guide really stresses that building relationships, building that real trust, it takes time. Casual chats are the pathway. They create these safe, positive little interactions that pave the way for deeper talks later. It even mentions that people often need, 7 or more hours of direct one-on-one time with their manager to really develop trust.
Because in hours, wow.
Yeah. And small talk is how you start building those hours, making them feel positive and connecting. It's an ongoing investment.
That long-term view really lands the strategic point. And talking strategy, the guide goes even further, saying it's actually in a manager's self-interest to be good at this. How come?
Right. It argues that managers who are comfortable and skilled with small talk often end up being seen as better leaders. Simple as that. They build stronger relationships at work. Their teams tend to be more content, more productive. The analogy used there is akin to farming rather than hunting.
Farming, not hunting.
Meaning you invest time and energy consistently, you cultivate the ground, you don't just go for the quick kill, you nurture those connections, and over time, you get the reward: stronger bonds, a better work atmosphere. It's a leadership long game.
And that feeds right into emotional intelligence, EQ, doesn't it?
Absolutely, direct link. Engaging in small talk is a practical way for managers to boost their EQ. It develops that ability to build better relationships because you're practicing curiosity, you're asking good open-ended questions, you're really listening, and then asking relevant follow-ups. It's about being present and responding in a way that shows you heard them, which deepens the connection. That's high EQ in action. Okay, so if it's this important, how do we actually do it well? What are the practical steps? The guide offers a lot here. Beyond just the basic greetings like good morning or nice to meet you, it talks about how using even these simple phrases intentionally can set the right tone. It's about using them to signal you're open, you're respectful, ready to connect.
That's a really key point. It's not just saying the words, it's the intention behind them. Like really meaning it when you ask, how is it
Yeah.
going? Or pausing properly when they answer and asking for clarification like, sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you say it again? That's not just about getting the info right. It shows you care enough to understand them.
Exactly. It builds trust right there. And checking understanding too, does that make sense? Or am I
Yeah.
being clear? It's about making sure you're both on the same page.
Right. And then there's handling agreement or disagreement.
Yeah. The guide gives examples like, I couldn't agree more for agreement versus something like, I see your point, but, or
Right.
I understand what you're saying, however, for a respectful disagreement. Even
Yeah.
when you disagree, the aim is always to keep that door open, keep the respect, not shut the conversation down.
Okay, so moving past those foundations, how do we actually kick off a conversation and keep it going? The guide suggests starting with the immediate situation, something you both share. Like if you're at an event, asking, how was your journey here? Or maybe, what session are you looking forward to most?
Mm.
The goal isn't necessarily to impress them right away. It's just to make that initial connection, build a little trust, maybe find some common ground.
And a really useful tool for keeping it going is asking those open-ended questions. The who, what, where, when, why, how questions. They invite much more than just a yes or no. They open things up for deeper discussion. The source gives a really clear contrast here between like good and bad examples.
Oh yeah, the manager one.
That's the one. Bad example. Manager asks, how are you? Employee says, great, better than last week. Manager immediately goes, good, let's review those KPIs.
Ouch. Yeah, that feels really insincere, like you were just asking to get to the work part.
Totally undermines it. The good example shows genuine listening. Same start. How are you? Great, better than last week. But the manager responds, oh, I'm glad to hear that. I was a bit concerned. Is there anything you need this week?
Much better. Shows you actually heard them.
Right. And even if the KPIs do need discussing, the guide suggests phrasing like, glad to hear things are better. Let me know if you need support. When you've had a chance to settle in this week, let's find a time to look at the team KPIs. It shows you care about them and the work.
That balance is key. And there was another analogy for keeping it flowing. Something about table tennis.
Yeah, the table tennis analogy. Effective chat is like a game, back and forth, quick, responsive. You build on what the other person says. You don't just deliver a monologue.
Right. And part of that game is knowing when maybe not to keep hitting the ball.
Right, exactly. If you're getting one-word answers or they're avoiding eye contact, looking distracted, that's a cue. Maybe wrap it up gracefully or try a different topic later. You have to read the room, read the person. And for those planned longer chats, say a lunch meeting, the guide actually suggests preparing, like having maybe 6 to 9 potential topics ready.
Really. Prepare topics for small talk.
Yeah, and maybe a couple of follow-up questions for each. The idea isn't to script it rigidly, but to have some starting points so you don't feel put on the spot. The real skill then is keeping a topic going by asking those extra questions, exploring their answers, showing you're genuinely interested.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's talk about the what. What topics are actually good for small talk, according to the guide? It gives examples for work and non-work, right? For work settings with colleagues, it suggests things like, what are you working on right now that's interesting? Or maybe, are you learning any new skills? Things that are positive, work-related, but open.
Yeah, and for existing clients, after the initial pleasantries, maybe, how's business been since we last chatted? Or what big trends are you seeing in the industry? If you're networking, questions like, what's exciting you most about our industry right now? Or how are you seeing technology change things? Can work well. They're professional, relevant, and invite more than a short answer.
And then for less formal situations, like maybe grabbing coffee or at a social work event, the guide lists quite a few safe zones. Hobbies are a good one. What do you enjoy doing outside of work? Travel is usually safe. Any interesting trips planned? Or where's a favorite place you visited? Entertainment too, right? Like books, movies, music. Seen any good films lately? Or reading anything interesting?
Exactly. Common ground, generally positive topics. It does add a little note of caution around the topic of children, though.
Oh, what's the advice there?
It suggests trying to gauge if it's appropriate first. It often works best if you know the other person has kids or if they bring it up themselves. Maybe wait for them to mention family first, just to be safe and respect boundaries.
That's smart. It's about being sensitive. So knowing what to talk about is one thing, but the guide also strongly emphasizes what not to talk about. That seems just as important for keeping things professional.
Absolutely critical. Knowing the no-go zones protects relationships and avoids awkwardness or worse. The guide is very clear on these. First, the big ones: politics, religion, and personal finances. Generally too personal, too likely to cause disagreement or discomfort in a professional setting, just best avoided.
Definitely agree there. What else?
Gender and sexual matters, obviously inappropriate in the workplace. Same goes for off-color humor. It can easily cross lines and lead to HR issues. Very personal stuff like relationships, divorce, unless you know someone extremely well and they bring it up, steer clear. It can be painful territory.
Right, keep it professional.
And commenting on physical attributes, age, weight, health, looks, even if meant kindly, can make people self-conscious or be taken the wrong way. Serious illness or death is another sensitive area to navigate carefully, usually best avoided unless the person initiates. Finally, rumors and gossip. Engaging in that just damages your own credibility and trustworthiness as a manager or colleague. People won't trust you with important stuff if they think you gossip.
That's a really clear list of traps to avoid. So pulling it all together, what are the top tips for just getting better at this? If someone wants to improve their small talk game.
Okay, some key takeaways from the guide. First, put your phone away. Simple but powerful, shows you're present. Second, genuinely try to be interested. Find common ground. Listen more than you talks away. The guide suggests aiming for maybe listening 2/3, talking 1/3.
Listen 2/3, talk 1/3.
Got it. Respect others' opinions, even if you disagree. Share yours appropriately, but don't dominate. And don't sweat the awkward pauses. They happen. They're normal when you're getting to know someone. Preparing a few open-ended questions on safe topics beforehand can be a real confidence booster, like we mentioned.
And body language, does that come into it?
Hugely. Use open, friendly body language. Make eye contact, nod. Show you're engaged, just like you would with a friend. It makes the other person feel more comfortable. And the most encouraging point really is that this is a skill. It can be learned. Practice actually makes a difference. You don't have to be a natural extrovert.
So we've really unpacked this. Small talk isn't small at all, is it? It's crucial. It's that engine oil making everything run smoother in our work lives, even our personal lives. It's a strategic way to build relationships, build trust. We've looked at everything from how to start, those open-ended questions, the follow-ups, what not to talk about. It really is an art, but a learnable one.
Absolutely. And connecting it back, mastering small talk isn't about faking it or suddenly becoming super outgoing if that's not you. It's more about cultivating genuine curiosity about people, showing them basic respect. That's the foundation for trust, for psychological safety. It turns those quick, everyday interactions into something that can actually build stronger connections and, frankly, make work more effective and enjoyable. So maybe something for you to think about this week. How could investing just a little bit more conscious effort into these brief conversations, really listening, asking one good follow-up question, how might that start to change your relationships, maybe open up new opportunities down the line? What's one small talk farming technique you could try this week to cultivate those